Welcome to the Longest Turn Board Gaming Podcast. This is Snapshot Episode 3. My name is Kevin.
Hello, this is Tyson.
This is Tyler.
In this Snapshot episode, we take a quick look at the game Skull. We'll give a short overview of the rules, theme, what we like about the game, and where you can find it. Is this game a good fit for your friends and family? Stick around to get our thoughts because we're ready to jump into Skull. For those that haven't listened to these Snapshot episodes, we take a quick 10 to 15 minute look at a game that we really enjoy. We talk about, the theme, what we like about it, where you can find it, a brief overview of the rules, just to see if maybe it's a game that your friends and family want to play. To kick it off, Tyson's going to do a quick overview of the rules.
Skull is a bluffing game for 3 to 6 players. It's designed by Hervé Marly and published by Asmodee. The goal of the game is to win 2 rounds before anybody else. Each player has 4 discs. 3 of them are flowers, and 1 of them is a skull. At the beginning of each round, players choose one of their 4 discs and places it face down in front of them. On your turn, you can either add 1 disc face down to your pile, or you can start a bid. To start a bid, you announce the number of discs you want to reveal. The bid can be any number, up to the total number of face down discs. Going clockwise, each other player can either increase the bid number or pass. Once a player passes, they are out of the round. The remaining highest bidder has to flip over discs equal to their bid amount. There are 2 rules to flipping discs. First, you must flip over all your own discs. Then, you can flip over the top disc from any player. You don't have to flip over all their discs before flipping over discs from another player. If you flip over all roses, you win the round and flip your player mat to the colored border side. If you flip over a skull, you lose the round and must randomly remove 1 of your discs from the game. If you lose all of your discs, you are eliminated from the game. Whether the player revealing discs wins or loses the round, they start the next round. The game ends once 1 player successfully guesses twice, or there is only 1 player left with discs, and that's how you play Skull.
So thanks, Tyson, for the quick rules overview. So let's talk about a few things that we like about this game. So, Tyson, what are a few things that you enjoy about Skull?
This is a bluffing game, right? And yeah. I love bluffing.
He does
and
love
social
bluffing
deduction games.
Yeah.
And this is one of the few. This is a pure bluffing game. There's not a lot of social deduction going on in this game, but there is reading the table in this game.
There is a ton of reading the table.
I love that in a game, especially when you can play this game so quickly and then play it again, knowing how people interact a little bit better, and then they kind of flip the script on you and do something different, and so you have to reinterpret things. I think this game does a really good job at making sure that you know who you're playing with and understanding their tells in some ways that it's really fun.
You see, you play with the same group, you start seeing trends on what they do. It's like, okay, this person always plays a skull at a certain time. So I am not going to flip with that over. But then when you can read that right and guess that right and win around, you're like, wow, that's awesome, right?
Was it Dan up at our cabin con that every single time he had a skull? Or was it?
It could have been Dan, right?
Because we played this a ton late at night.
Do you realize how you win the game?
I mean, he kept getting people out.
He did.
With it.
He did.
People kept picking him. But
you got to pick your time, right?
Right.
And you got to pick your time where you're going to say, okay, I'm in. I'm going to go for it. And I'm going to bid a high number and try to flip over,
And there have been times
flip over
where,
cards to
Kevin,
win.
you've done that really well, and you've also done it really poorly. But like,
I
think everybody.
But I feel like Kevin is so confident in when he does it. Sometimes he's like, "Oh, I got this," and then when he pulls it off, I'm like, "You're the worst. I would have done that on the next turn."
Well, for me, it's either one or the other. It's either I do really well, and a lot of times I'll win, or I'm out first. I just do horribly, because you have to bid in order to win, right?
Exactly.
That's just the way the game works.
Yeah, I generally don't bid a lot early. I just try to outlast everybody, and 30% track record doesn't work out too great for me.
I was going to say that, Kevin, you just said you have to bid to win. That's not always the case. You can outlast, like Tyler was saying.
You can.
But it's a lot harder, I think, to outlast. So to engage in the game and actually bid, I think also makes it more interesting and more exciting to play in the ways that I've enjoyed a lot.
One thing that I think is hilarious about this game is if you get rid of all of your discs except for one, and the last one you have is a skull. It's like I mean, there's no way you can win. You're out, but you're still in the game, right? I just think that's hilarious.
Well, and especially as soon as everybody finds out that your last disc is a skull, then you're really truly done.
Yeah, and that decision of when you have maybe 2 discs left, you may start the bidding because and only play 1 because you don't want the other people to have perfect information about what you have. And that's an interesting little
really cool
nuance of the game, right? That I think is kind of cool and fun.
But I also think that even when you're not the one doing the bidding, there is table reading in this game that is really interesting because you're either hoping somebody picks your pile or doesn't pick your pile, depending on how it works. And you're hoping they pick it in the right amount of ways because they have to reveal a certain number of tiles that are out, depending on how many they bid. And so sometimes you hide a skull in there, knowing that they might flip over your first one or your second one even, and you're hiding that skull in there, giving that degree of confidence that they're like, oh, okay, I can do this.
Especially if you were bidding actively, bidding the score up.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the mechanic of you have to flip over yours first, right? Because I've played so many times where I start the bidding knowing that I have a skull in my stack, right? And there's a trick to like, how high do I go on my initial bid just to get it started? That somebody is going to outbid me for sure, right? You don't want to go too high, right?
And you don't want to go too low, though.
You don't want to go too low. So I say all the time, right? When somebody bids, I'm like, that's a skull bid. Yep. You have started. Yeah. You've started the bidding, and you have a skull. Everybody pass. Let them get stuck with winning the bid. There's a trick to where do you draw that line, which I think is a really interesting part of the game. One
of my favorite things about this game when we play it is making Kevin think that I'm playing blindly.
Oh, yeah, I knew you were going to bring this up. This is terrible.
So like once, maybe out of like 15 games, I've actually played blindly. And all the other times I was just pretending to play blindly. Yeah. And it gets on Kevin's nerves.
It's the game within the game. It's the meta.
Yeah. I love that. On a side note, and I've mentioned this before on our podcast, but when we've talked about this game, but I have played the game around the table where all of us agreed to play blindly, and it was hilarious. It was really fun. It was on a date night with some friends, but it was fantastic.
Well, this game is really accessible, right? Like you can play this. The game components themselves are coasters.
Yep.
And so this is, I believe, the definition of like a beer and pretzels kind of a game where you can play just anywhere in any situation. It's limited components that are really easy to play. Anybody can play this game and really get into it, and you can have fun experiences that are just silly. And if you're playing it over and over, you start to understand and explore the dynamics between the players better. And it's a great kind of icebreaker game as well, that like, let's just open the night, or we get to know each other a little bit better. Let's do something a little bit fun. And I think this game is perfect for that.
And it provides those fun stand-up moments, right? When somebody has won one round and then they're going all in. There's been 8 discs that have been, put face down. You go 8, you flip over all of them. And for some reason, it seems to always come down to the last one, right? Yeah. You flip over the last one. And if it's a skull, everybody's cheering, if it's not, and the person wins, they're cheering. And it's just it creates some fun, just really exciting moments.
Well, and you can clearly see who the front runners are in this game, right? Because it only takes 2 correct guesses to win this game. And the person who does it next is going to win. So sometimes you want to stop them from doing that. And you're in a position where if I don't make a bid right now, the person
you can't let them win.
Is going to take a bid. And if they win, they win.
Yeah.
So I have to do something about that. And I don't feel confident about doing it, but I can't.
But you can't let them try.
The added tension when someone already has a victory, it just forces your hand
Ramps
when you don't want
to.
Yep, and you take one for the team a lot of times.
Yeah,
which then like ruins it, because we haven't even talked about when you lose a bid, you lose one of your coasters, and that really makes an impact. We have talked about the fact that you can only end up with one, right? And that if it's your skull, you're in trouble. But losing a coaster can feel pretty difficult to move forward because you have fewer options going forward of how you're going to play the cards or play the coasters themselves. And the fun part, I think, is that sometimes you don't know, or you will never know when your skull is taken out until somebody takes it out. And so essentially, if somebody randomly pulls and takes your skull out, you have to play the game now entirely different than what you had planned on from the start.
Yeah, you only have flowers at that point, which is interesting.
And you could still win it with only flowers.
Oh, well, absolutely. Yeah, this is a great game. During the pandemic, we played a lot of games over FaceTime, and this is one that we played a lot over FaceTime, and it worked really well to play remotely with other people. We played it a lot. So
I think our family played it with your family at one point.
Yeah, I think so. We played it with a number of different families, and it was a great way to connect during the pandemic when you weren't seeing people. It was just easy to do. I mean, you're just holding up what you have to the camera, right? And it's a lot of fun. So it sets up well for that too, if anybody's in that situation.
And I think if you like games that have bluffing in them, like if you like poker, there is elements of poker and reading the table in this. If you like spicy cockroach poker, if you like bang even to some extent, like kind of that
the hidden roll or something. Trying to figure out what other people have. Yeah.
Social deduction games can kind of fall in this camp, but this is strictly the bluffing side of it. That
it's
if you
very
like
stripped
that,
down. Yeah.
This is a good game to experience all of that with.
I absolutely love the unique art on the disc. The bearded skull guy is my favorite.
Yeah, I think it's my favorite as well. But it's known in our group that that's Tyler's one that he's going to play as the skull one. But all of them,
which means
beautiful.
It's not necessarily a winning disc set. Skull is available on Amazon, at Target, $15-20 online. Game stores. It is out there in the wild. Check it out. It's got a new pink box, new printing of it, but it is definitely out there and available if you want to try it out.
That closes out our snapshot of Skull. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to check out our full-length episodes. We discuss games that we've been playing, do deep dives and feature reviews, share top 5 lists on a variety of board game topics, and discuss all things board game related. For even more Longest Turn, check out our Discord server, Board Game Geek blog and guild, Instagram, and Twitter. If you want to support the show, buy us some wooden eggs on buymeacoffee.com. All links and information are included in the show notes. Thanks for listening. Episode 3. My name is Kevin.
Oh, yeah, I'm next.
We already talked about this.
Gosh.
This is Tyler.
And this...
Thanks, Tyson, for the rules overview.
It's probably a little...
Exaggerated.